Hey everyone, I'm Dan, and I am so excited to start a brand new series called Be For Real. But before we get started, take a few seconds to think about how many decisions you've made today. Your morning routine, school, after-school activities, even the decisions you make when you get home. Try to think about every time you had to make a decision. You have an actual number in your head? You probably made way more than 10. Some are big, some are small, but most decisions are ones you probably don't even think too much about. Why? Because you make decisions all the time. Think about it. What are some of the decisions we have to make every day? You know, the boring things that we have to decide on day after day, like what to wear in the morning, what hand you brush your teeth with, who will you sit with at lunch or on the bus, whether or not to answer a question in class, what multiple choice answer to pick or not to pick on your homework. We could go on forever listing out all the decisions that you have to make every day. But most likely, they'd be small decisions that aren't really that big of a deal. But here's the thing, there are lots of times when you have to make bigger decisions in life. The decisions that can impact your life in big ways. If you have some hobby you love, like skating, football, playing video games, or drawing, at some point, you made a decision to start that hobby. And even if your parent or guardian encouraged you to start a hobby, you had to make the decision to stick with it. Now it's your favorite thing in the world, and you might do it for the rest of your life, maybe even as your job. And that's another huge decision. And when you first started, you just like playing that game on your computer, or dancing to your favorite music. There are a lot of those decisions to be made in life. And chances are that a lot of them feel like a big deal because they can lead to other big things. I know you are probably making some big decisions in your life right now. You have to choose whether or not to try out for the team, whether or not to talk to that one person you can't stop thinking about, whether or not you show up at the school dance. The list could be endless, but what I'm getting at is this. Some decisions come with a lot of pressure. Why do we feel that pressure? Well, our decisions have consequences, and those consequences can be good or not so good. If you try it for the team and you don't make it, that does not feel good. If you ask the person you have a crush on to hang out and get rejected, the worst, right? If you go to a school dance and have fun, you might end up with memories you'll never forget. Decisions can be big. And I'm willing to bet that when you think about all these decisions you have to make, stress follows close behind. Here's the thing. You can't not make decisions. You have to do something because a decision to do nothing has a consequence of its own. You can't freeze time and stop yourself from having to make them. So what do? How do we make decisions that will help us become the people we want to be? Whether that decision is as simple as what sport to try out for or what to do when there is conflict with a friend, how do we make the best decision now that will make life better later? When it comes to making decisions, there's a book of the Bible that has a lot of advice about how to make the best ones. Oh, and I guess it's not really a book. It's more like a collection of writings, many of which were written by an ancient king named Solomon. He was known for being very wise. We can trust that if Solomon lays down some wisdom for us to pick up, it will be pretty good stuff. Let's take a look at something Solomon wrote that I think can help us with our decisions. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. All right, if you're anything like me, you immediately just thought, oh, what? I mean, it sounds good, it sounds wise, but what does that mean? All right, let's unpack what Solomon wrote a little bit more. Integrity. Integrity makes me think of a math word, integer. Sorry, I know this isn't math class, but what's an integer? Well, it's a whole number, right? Not a fraction or a piece of a number, but the whole thing. So what about people? Well, the same word and the same idea is at its root. Having integrity means being a whole person. Let me explain. The first part of integrity is authenticity. When people see you, they get the real you, the whole you. You aren't one way with some people and a different way with other people. It means you're not fake. Look, I follow the sneaker guy. And all of his videos are him checking the shoes to make sure they're authentic, that the shoes people are selling are actually what they say they are, so people don't get scammed. That's authenticity. But integrity is more than just authenticity. Look, you can be real and not have integrity. To bring it back to the shoe example, you can buy authentic shoes that they aren't that great. Maybe they were even expensive, but they were uncomfortable or fell apart after a few wears. Sure, they were authentic, but you couldn't rely on them. When it comes to people, being able to be relied on and trusted can be described as having good character. Back to math, like think about it as a math equation. Integrity equals authenticity plus good character. Integrity is being your whole self and being the whole person that God made you to be. Someone who can be trusted, someone who does what's right. And if you're wondering what's right, a good place to start is something called the fruit of the Spirit. When we're living the way God wants for us, we'll see some qualities start to grow within us. We'll see characteristics that reflect who God is and who God wants us to be. Loving, kind, joyful, peaceful, patient, good, and faithful. Gentle and having self-control. Those characteristics are called the fruit of the Spirit, and they can help us figure out if we're living with integrity. Letting integrity guide us means we make decisions based on those things. It means we pause before we act to make sure we're showing the fruit of the Spirit in our decisions. But the proverb we read earlier, it didn't stop there. It gives us the opposite too. If integrity means people can see and trust the whole you, the opposite of that is being dishonest or deceptive. It means being fake. Maybe you've heard a word on social media recently, dupe. The idea of a dupe is a cheaper version of the real thing. Now, most of us love a good dupe. Getting a product that works the same for half the price is a win. The difference is that a dupe isn't claiming to be the real thing. On the other hand, when a fake is pretending to be a name brand, well, that's just dishonest. What does this look like for people? Just like a fake sneaker, being dishonest or deceptive is about pretending to be someone you aren't. It's pretending to like someone to their face and then talking bad about them behind their back. It's pretending to like a band or sport so other people will like you, even if you really can't stand it. It's pretending to value something, even when you don't. And here's the tricky thing. We're all different versions of ourselves with different people. You probably don't act the same around your grandma as you do with your best friend. We all talk about things with our friends that we wouldn't with our sibling. That's normal, but when we aren't being real and being true to ourselves, well, that's when we find ourselves constantly pretending to be someone we're not, liking things we don't or saying things we don't even mean. And when we make those kinds of decisions, they always lead to the destruction of something. Friendships, relationships, feelings, trust, it causes hurt, whether now or later. Like maybe you told your parents you were at one friend's house when you were at another. Told your friend that you had a lot of homework, but you were going to hang out with someone else. Made a decision you knew wasn't right, but felt good in the moment. Acted like you liked something you really didn't because of who you were around. Letting integrity guide you means you don't go down that path. To put simply, integrity does what's right. When it comes to the decisions that we make every day, let integrity guide you. It will make the right decision clear at any given moment. The right decision doesn't always mean an easy decision. When you live with integrity, it doesn't mean everything goes your way or you get what you want, but it does mean doing the right thing regardless. Here are a few ideas on how to live this out. First, be authentic. Be the you God created you to be. It can be so tempting to be fake just so people will like or accept you. But if you play that game, those people aren't even accepting the real you. They're accepting only the piece of yourself you're letting them see. Second, do what's right. When you have trouble acting with integrity, think back to those fruits of the Spirit. Before making a decision, ask yourself if it's loving, kind, and joyful. Is it peaceful, patient, and good? What about gentle and acting with self-control? Now, this isn't always easy. We might know the right thing to do, but sometimes choosing it can be difficult. You will never regret doing what's right. Be someone who does what's right even when it isn't easy. And lastly, be consistent. Don't change who you are based on the situation. Being consistent means people know what they'll get from you because they can see who you really are. Even if you're more hyper with one group of people and dress differently for another, your values and character can be consistent. Now, while some decisions might bring a lot of stress or seem tough, letting integrity guide you can change the game. It can help you make the right decision in the moment, even if it's not easy. Remember, integrity means doing what's right. So let people see and know the whole you that God created you to be. The more you choose to be authentic and do what's right, the easier it will be to be consistent and have integrity. It might seem difficult in the moment, but I promise, it does get easier over time. Okay, when you head to groups, think about your response to this question. When was the last time you chose to do the right thing, even though it wasn't easy?